These balloonists aren't thinking about what fibers that balloon fabric is made of, but that's what keeps them aloft. The balloon is made of the fiber nylon. Our balloonists, along with the rest of us on the ground, take fibers for granted. What is a fiber? It's the basic building block of cloth. This is a cloth fabric. Fabric is made of yarns, woven or knitted together, and yarns are made of threads of fiber twisted together. If humans were equipped with a special camera that identifies the fibers in any object photographed, they would see fibers all around. This fiber vision would reveal the balloon of nylon. The fuzz on a tennis ball is crucial to speed and spin. That fuzz is made of wool, polyester, and nylon fibers. And so is the nylon sail of a windsurfer. Talk about being dependent on fibers. Of course, we know clothing is made of fibers. Here, our fiber vision camera reveals a polyester outfit. And here, cotton shirts help keep players cool in the heat. And of course, that net is also a fiber. This businessman might produce high-tech integrated circuits, but his suits are still made from sheep's wool. Spandex is great for swimwear. And this fellow wears wool, cotton, nylon, and polypropylene to stay warm while active. Each of us uses over 60 pounds of textile fibers a year. You'll notice our fiber vision camera reveals two types of fiber, natural and synthetic. Natural fibers start as a plant growing in the ground or as animal protein. Cotton, wool, linen, and silk are the most used natural fibers. Synthetics are manufactured into fibers. Nylon, polyester, and acrylic are the most common, and all come from petroleum products called petrochemicals. One major difference between natural and synthetic fibers is how they handle water. This fabric is polyester. Watch what happens when polyester meets water. Polyester is typical of synthetic fibers. It does not absorb water. That's both a strength and weakness when it comes to clothing. This is cotton. You can see the difference. That's why most towels are cotton. Experts use the word hydrophilic to describe a fiber that attracts water. That's from the Greek meaning water-loving. Cotton is hydrophilic, so are most natural fibers. So what does that mean for clothing? It certainly means natural fibers aren't best for swimwear. You've probably heard these turn-of-the-century outfits called swimming suits. Put all that cotton on, jump in the water, and you have to be a pro just to stay afloat. This might be beach wear, but it's not swimwear. You move about 3 cups of water through your skin every day through perspiration. So how your clothing handles water is important, even when you're not swimming. Since polyester and most other synthetic fibers don't absorb perspiration, it stays on the skin, leaving you sweaty or clammy. By contrast, natural fibers absorb moisture, so it can evaporate into outside air. That's why most t-shirts are made of 100% cotton. Since synthetic fibers resist moisture, they often build up static electric charges. The dreaded static cling of TV commercials is a result of fibers that resist water. Natural fibers are less likely to cling. You can't identify fibers by visual inspection alone. That's why the law requires fiber content labels like these. This label identifies the fiber as 100% cotton. This label shows a fabric of 100% linen. This tag identifies fibers of 80% nylon and 20% spandex. Notice that Antron and Lycra are not fiber names, they are brand names, much like Zest is the brand name for soap. Many labels list more than one fiber. That's called a blend. Often the blend is of one natural and one synthetic fiber. Cotton with polyester, sometimes called polycotton, is the most common. Why blend 2 fibers in one garment? To capture the strengths of each fiber. For example, cotton fibers provide comfort, and polyester adds easy care and wrinkle resistance. Experts in the cotton industry say that you need at least 50% cotton in order to enjoy its advantages. And those who know wool say at least 80% is needed to realize wool's benefits. And you'll find fiber labels in more than clothing. Upholstered goods have to be identified, as do rugs and carpets. Let's take a closer look at the most common fibers. First, the natural fibers. Native Americans cultivated cotton as early as 700 AD. The Egyptians made fine cloth at least 4,000 years ago. Their hand-spun cotton was as fine as today's best. How do these plants become what the world wears most? The flowers open in mid-morning and begin to wither the next day. The flowers drop and are replaced in 1 to 2 months by a golf ball-sized pod known as a cotton boll. Boll, by the way, is spelled B-O-L-L. A well-cultivated acre produces a bale of cotton a year. A bale is almost 500 pounds. Losses due to insects like the boll weevil average 1 bale in every 11. So cotton is treated with insecticides, often by airplanes, which can cover up to 1,500 acres a day. Harvesting cotton is highly mechanized. No longer do individuals slowly fill bags with cotton. Today, harvesting machines sail through oceans of cotton, efficiently removing the cotton while leaving the plants undisturbed. As recently as 1965, over a fourth of the U.S. cotton crop was picked by hand. Today, huge machines called strippers and pickers harvest almost all our cotton. This is a spindle harvester, also called a picker. It has drums with spindles that pull the cotton from the boll in 1 or 2 rows at a time. Even a 1-row mechanical picker can do the work formerly done by 40 hand pickers. This is stripper harvesting. The stripper moves along rows of plants, passing them between revolving rollers or brushes that pull off the cotton. Strippers also pull twigs and leaves with the cotton. So the picked cotton is baled for delivery to the gin yard. Cotton gins separate the cotton fibers from the seeds. The cotton passes through a series of machines for cleaning and drying. Machines like the cotton gin have long since replaced hundreds of human hands. But today, over 3 million Americans depend on cotton for at least part of their livelihood. After ginning, the cotton goes to the bale press, which packs it into 500-pound bales about the size of a large refrigerator. Trucks take the bales to a warehouse, where to save shipping costs, the bales are compressed even further. Cotton buyers judge cotton on the basis of samples cut from the bales. Skilled cotton classers, often employees of the Department of Agriculture, grade or class the cotton on the basis of cleanliness, degree of whiteness, length of fiber. The classers pull a cotton sample. They discard most of it until just a pinch of well-aligned fibers remains. They measure the length of the fibers. Longer fibers tend to be higher-grade cotton, sold at higher prices. Average length of these fibers ranges from 3/4 of an inch to nearly 2 inches. Longer fibers create smoother, more lustrous fabrics. The best grade of cotton is called good middling, while the lowest grade is called good ordinary. These names, however, never appear on finished garments. The fibers are sent to a textile mill, where carding machines turn the fibers into rolls of cotton yarn. Here, the yarns are woven into cloth that is comfortable and easy to wash, but does wrinkle easily. Cotton fabric will shrink about 3% when washed, unless pre-treated to resist shrinking. Cotton is the most used fiber in the world, and the most used natural fiber in the United States. Wool is possibly the oldest fiber known to humans. Even in the Stone Age, the prehistoric lake dwellers of Europe wore wool clothing. Desert-dwelling Bedouins wore it, as did Antarctic explorers. Wool is made of protein, just like human hair. Most wool comes from sheep and varies considerably in quality. The best is soft and springy, never scratchy or brittle. The woolen industry in America began with a few smuggled sheep. By the Revolutionary War, spinning wool became a symbol of defiance against the harsh restrictions imposed by the English crown. In early Massachusetts, each household was required by law to produce wool cloth. The task of spinning usually fell to the unmarried females in the family. They became the spinsters. The spinster making yarn by hand remains only in our vocabulary. Today, a single spinning machine in a woolen mill outproduces a small town of 18th century spinsters. Today, wool is manufactured with great speed, but the basic process remains similar to that used in colonial America. Shearing has changed little. Originally, shearing was the shepherd's task. With the arrival of warm weather, he would drive his flock to a shallow stream for washing and later sing an ancient ballad to the rhythm of the shears. Today, a shearing expert can shear 200 sheep in a day. After shearing, the wool fibers are carded. That means brushed to straighten the fibers. This was once a tedious hand process. Today, a carding machine passes the wool through a series of rollers covered with wire bristles. The carded fibers are gently scraped into strands called roving. Giant carding machines produce continuous strands of roving. This is not yarn, it would easily pull apart, but simple twisting gives the wool the needed strength. This microscopic view demonstrates wool's unique qualities. The surface is a series of overlapping scales pointing toward the tip. On the animal, this enables foreign matter to work its way out of the fleece. In a strand of yarn, it enables the fibers to lock with one another, a key to wool's strength. Wool's surface repels water, but the inner core absorbs moisture. Since moisture does not remain on the surface, woolen fabrics tend to feel dry and comfortable, even in damp weather. Wool can absorb almost double its own weight in water and still feel reasonably dry. This absorbency also gives wool its natural resistance to wrinkles. The absorbed moisture also holds down static electricity. And because of the inner moisture, wool is naturally flame resistant. The yarn is woven into fabric by interlacing on a loom. The lengthwise yarns are called the warp. Those running crosswise are the weft or filling. On an old hand loom, the warp is raised and lowered as the weft is passed through on a shuttle. Each different color of the weft requires a different shuttle. A powered fly shuttle loom performs these same operations, but much faster. Newer looms no longer use a shuttle. Instead, the weft yarns are propelled across the loom by a jet of air. Here, warp threads are transferred to the loom. Weft yarns are wound individually on bobbins. The fabric in wool sweaters is called woolens and is soft and fuzzy. The fuzziness enables the fabric to trap lots of air and be a fine insulator. The smoother, harder finish of a worsted or gabardine, such as found in fine business suits, is achieved before weaving. To make a worsted, after carding, the short fibers are removed by repeated combings. Those short fibers are what give wool its fuzzy appearance. Once removed, the thick strands of rope to a strong, smooth yarn used for worsted fabrics. Wool today is prized for its durability. It is still the prime choice for high-quality business suits and warm sweaters. Linen is made from the fibers in the flax plant, grown and harvested mostly by hand in Western Europe, especially in Belgium, the Netherlands, and France. It's an ancient fiber, used in burial shrouds for Egyptian pharaohs. In ancient Egypt, priests wore only garments of linen, and worshippers were permitted to enter the temples only if they wore linen clothing. The entire flax plant is pulled out by harvesters, unlike cotton where only the bolls are removed from the plant. Linen is a bast fiber, meaning the fibers are found in the stem of the plant. So although linen has much in common with cotton, its fibers are much longer. A long staple of cotton is only about 2 inches. Linen fibers are 6 to 20 inches long, resulting in fabrics that are stronger and often smoother than cotton. The flax in a straw-like form is allowed to dry in bundles in the fields for 1 to 2 weeks. The next step is scutching, a mechanical operation which breaks and beats the flax stalk to separate the textile fibers from the woody stalk and bark. The flax fibers are separated into hands of fiber, which are next combed and arranged into ribbons of long fibers. The fibers are woven into a fabric. When needed, the brown cloth produced on the loom is finished, that is, bleached, dyed, printed, or treated. Linen shares many of the advantages of cotton. It is strong, yet comfortable to wear in warm weather. Linen is used in table and bed linen, handkerchiefs, and fine fashions from dresses to suits. Linen is popular for suits worn in tropical climates. It is also found in wall coverings, drapery, and upholstery fabric. Linen is more expensive than cotton, and high-quality linen is considered a luxury fabric. Silk has always been synonymous with beauty and luxury. What better compliment to a fiber than the expression smooth as silk? China invented the process of silk cultivation over 5,000 years ago. Revealing the secrets of silkworm cultivation was punishable by death. Legend tells of 2 monks who smuggled silk secrets out of China to Emperor Justinian. One secret is that silkworms do best when fed mulberry leaves, and only mulberry leaves. They never stop eating. That means feedings every 4 hours. 10 million Chinese grow mulberry. Another 10 million feed the silkworms, which, by the way, are not worms at all, but caterpillars. Silk filament comes from the cocoons the caterpillar spins. These women boil the cocoons, pick out the end of a silk filament, and thread it onto a reel. Each cocoon contains from 800 to over 1,300 yards of fiber, the work of a single caterpillar. The length means long, smooth surfaces, which is why silk reflects light and has that special luster we value. Silk is as strong as wire of equal thickness. This dress took more than 1,000 cocoons to make. Silk is a very fine filament fiber, but very strong and elastic. But it is damaged by prolonged sunlight, deodorant stains, and chlorine bleach. Wild silk looks very different from cultivated silk, since the wild silkworms have a more varied diet. Wild or raw silk is yellowish-brown, stiffer, and more coarse than cultivated silk. Wool, cotton, linen, and silk are the most used natural fibers. Let's survey the most used synthetic fibers. Polyester is the most used synthetic fiber. It can be used for fashionable dresses, but is most admired for its ability to resist wrinkling and for its no-ironing, easy washability. Its toughness makes it a frequent choice in children's wear. Most synthetics share similar manufacturing processes. Polyester, like many synthetics, starts as petroleum. Tiny polymer chips made from petroleum are melted or dissolved into a syrupy solution that is pumped through tiny holes in a spinneret, which resembles a high-tech shower head. The spinneret has from 1 to hundreds of holes. Their size and shape changes the characteristics of the resulting fiber. Additives are often mixed with the liquid before it is extruded to give fibers qualities like locked-in color or static resistance. After extrusion, the liquid streams solidify into string-like filaments that are stretched under carefully controlled conditions to create the desired shape and thickness. DuPont introduced its Dacron brand polyester in 1951. Synthetics were popular in the 50s. They meant freedom from the drudgery of ironing. Today's chemists can alter the shape and size of polyester fibers to look and feel more like natural fibers. Ultra-thin microfibers can give polyester a smoother, softer feel than the polyester of 20 years ago. Nylon has some of the look and feel of silk. It is used in sheer hosiery, automobile tires, sails and parachutes, blouses, gowns and veils, swimsuits, and lingerie. It can be shaped in its manufacture to be used in tents, ropes, or fishing line. A process called air texturing adds bulk or loft to the nylon to make it useful in carpeting. Nylon has replaced wool as the fiber most used in carpets. In fact, about 8 billion pounds of nylon fiber are produced in the U.S. yearly. Nylon was introduced to consumers by DuPont in 1939 and gained acceptance first in nylon stockings, which quickly replaced silk. Nylon is strong even when knitted into a sheer fabric, as in nylon stockings. It dries quickly after washing. In World War II, nylon replaced silk for parachutes and was even woven into flak vests. Used to reinforce aircraft tires, it enabled heavy bombers to land safely on improvised airstrips. Acrylic is a synthetic fiber made from the unlikely combination of coal, air, water, oil, and limestone. In some ways, it imitates wool. It has wool's warmth and softness, but not its water handling ability. A cotton acrylic blend is often used in sweaters. The slipper on the right is lined with acrylic fiber. The slipper on the left is lined with wool fleece. They look similar. How are they different? The slipper with the acrylic imitation fur features an upper made of a plastic that resembles leather. The acrylic does not absorb moisture, and the plastic outer material does not allow air to pass through. The possible result? Clammy feet. The slipper on the left is made of soft leather. The wool can absorb lots of water and still feel dry. The fleece is warm, and the leather breathes, so air can pass through to evaporate some of the moisture. One drawback is that this combination will cost more. Two clothing fibers, rayon and acetate, start life as trees. They're made from wood pulp. Rayon was the first man-made fiber for clothing and goes back before the Civil War. Until 1924, rayon was known as artificial silk. This ad ran in Good Housekeeping in 1943. It answered common questions about this relatively new wonder fiber of the modern chemical age. Because rayon is made from vegetable matter, it does breathe and absorb water. In fact, it resembles cotton in performance. Today's synthetic fibers are used in artificial hearts, glider airplanes, spacesuits, and even as underlayment for highways. There is no one best fiber. Synthetics are convenient and often inexpensive, but natural fibers are often more comfortable. Natural fibers wrinkle easily, and except for cotton, can be expensive. But natural fibers are renewable resources. Synthetics, except for rayon, start as petroleum. What you need in order to choose fibers is your own version of a fiber vision camera. And you gain that by knowing the properties of fibers and asking, what fiber is that, when you buy clothing or any fabric-based product?